3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another Pass the Barb. We are the current holders and have been the current holders, I want to say 11, 12 weeks in a row now of the number one outdoors podcast in the world. Thank you to each and every one of you for making us the number one outdoors podcast in the world. This is Pass the Barb. We've got a crew tonight. We've got Ryan Pinkalla. We've got Adam Bart. We've got Cody Hahner, and we've got myself, Sobi. So without further ado, let's kick it right off. Let's go around the chain. Happy to be here. Cody Hahner, take it away.
How's it going, everybody?
Hunter, are you drinking green tea out of your garden?
Basically, yeah. Basil leaf, actually.
Oh, boy.
Kombucha basil.
Don't eat the leaf. I heard you die from that.
Yeah, you die, yeah, for sure.
Or is that a
It's good for your immune system.
What are you mixing that with?
This is straight black coffee right here.
Berry brandy? What was it?
So,
Okay, yeah.
Where are you coming at us from tonight? Like, I always feel like if the musky's not in the background, I'm always inclined to ask, where are you at?
Stevens Point tonight. Stevens Point.
You're back
What am I looking at on the? Is that a shower curtain rod?
That is exactly what that is.
Beauty.
Utilize the space.
Okay, yeah.
I like it. Well, Cody's alive. He's looking
unreal.
Fresh.
I'm just shocked that you're here.
With a bunch
That's
of
really
grease on it. What do we got going on?
Yep. You like that?
Just simsing around.
Dude, is that the
hat.
OG hat from
That
when
is
we
the
were filming
OG.
Ghost?
Yes.
Wow, that thing has seen some days.
That is luck in there. It's running out, as you can see. That's all the luck we have left.
That's it.
Hunter, I hate to break it to you. I think it made it ran out of luck.
I think it ran out that fall. That fall is pretty much done.
You're holding on to that, and I'm like, buddy, it's been like day 10.
No, this is strictly an electrician's hat now. I'm about to Sharpie it and just put our company name on, like such and such electric service. But yeah.
Sponsored by such and such electric company.
Connor, you just been straight work grinding or what, dude? You've been like,
yeah, dude. That's what we've been doing. It's been exhilarating.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. How about you guys? What have you guys been up to?
Not doing that.
Yeah, lucky.
Well, I think let's let Barty Boy go first because we talked about this last time. You might.
So we got pissed because I brought it up at the end.
Yeah,
of the last
this happened.
Yeah,
this happened at the end of the podcast. Adam just kind of slips in there like, "Oh, no big deal. This happened," and I was like, "No. We are going to start the podcast off, and we're going to do this right." June 27th, 2024.
This was a month and a half ago, for the record.
What happened June 27th, 2024, Adam?
Yeah, I got engaged, Cody.
Yes, I saw. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
How many years were you guys together before you popped the question?
We hit 2 years like yesterday or 2 days ago. So it was like a year and 11 months or
That's
whatever.
Good. That's proper timing.
Yeah.
How'd you do
Hunter,
it?
you would appreciate I did it right before I was leaving for a Bassmaster Open, and I was going to be on the road
like
for
minutes
29
before.
days. So like every day I was gone on the road, she'd like be texting me. She's like, God, I just I wish it sucks. You're gone, and I'm like, look at the ring. Look at the ring.
Yep.
So I figured that buys me a little bit.
That bought you
time,
some time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly. But it was great. Did it at Maynard's on Lake Minnetonka. That's where our first date was. Honestly, it went all great. I kind of had it planned out. So my parents have always wanted to tour Lake Minnetonka because if any of you guys have been out there, like the houses from the lake, I mean, the houses in general are stupid, but they've all been built to face the lake, obviously. So if you're on the lake and you see the houses, it's just stupid. My parents have always wanted to get a boat ride out there, and just I haven't been able to over the years. So I had it planned out in June to do it. And then I had told my mom, I was like, hey, I think I can wrap in like also doing Alyssa's engagement. And
like, let's just knock this all out at once.
Well, but I was like, she'll have no idea.
We got a schedule to keep.
Yeah.
Keep things rolling.
And she'll
Tour
have,
got at 3, engagement at 4.
Like, I got 2 hours max.
I gotta be in bed at 8. Okay.
yeah, but I was like, she'll have no idea because she's known my parents have wanted to be out there. So the biggest hurdle I had actually was I called her boss, which Alyssa's a doctor. So I had to talk to her boss and be like, is there any way like we can figure out her getting out of work? So they blocked off a bunch of other doctor schedules and got patients shifted. So her day like fell apart somewhat.
Nice.
And Alyssa was like, oh my God, I have nothing going on this afternoon. I can meet you for dinner. And I was like, no way. I can't believe it.
That's
How did
crazy.
that happen?
That's actually
That
kinda
hasn't
gangster.
happened in a year of you working here. That's incredible. It's today. That's so convenient. So then we were able to do it. DeMarkey showed up, had him posted up at a bar table. And he just waited for us to go down to the dock. And it worked out. DeMarkey did his thing. If anyone's looking for wedding photography or anything, talk to our boy Adam DeMarkey. He's a man. And
awesome.
Turned out great. So I'm very happy about that. And
What were her exact words when you asked her?
well, okay, so it kind of got thrown.
Because you
off.
told everyone yes, but we got to know.
Yeah, well, Sobi, so it kind of got thrown off because, like, me, I kind of like went for extravagant plan, and I was like, if I can get her mom and dad to show up at the moment I'm going down the dock, I'm gonna win huge.
Yeah, it's just
So
kind of
I had it planned out great. However, her mom and dad came in about 15 seconds early, so she locked eyes with her dad right as we were about to go to the dock, and she looked at me and she's like, why are my parents here? And I was like, and like, I don't know, I feel like I'm a pretty good liar and bullshitter, and I just was like, I don't know.
were you a little nervous?
The wheels just came flying.
I wasn't terribly nervous, but like,
Come on, you were
automatically black out in that moment. Like,
After
really
20 years of dock talk, your best thing was like, I don't know. Are you catching them offshore? I don't know.
I had everything planned in my head except for what if she sees her parents, and that happened, and I was like, I got nothing.
That's
so
awesome.
I basically just was like, and I knew it was busted at that point, and I was like, hey, we gotta, because if she hadn't seen her parents, we were gonna go grab my dad's Father's Day gift, and she saw her parents, and I was like, you just need to come down to the dock with me, basically. And she looked at me as we're walking down, and she's like, are you about to do what I think you're gonna do? And I just looked at her, and she had like a hood up on a sweatshirt, and she was just walking down. And I was like, if I were you, I would pull your hood down and fix your hair.
Oh shoot!
Like, you look terrible right now.
I was like, and then she had been complaining about, she got her nails done like 2 weeks before, and she had been complaining for 2 weeks about the nail color. And I had told her for 2 weeks she should go get a different nail color, and she didn't. And then she looked at me and she's like, well, I have yellow nails. And I was like, what? I told you for 2 weeks to get a different color. Like, this is off my plate now.
I like how off the rails this got in the last second.
Yeah, like literally the last 10 seconds. So then we walked out to the dock.
Yeah.
It made it easy.
That makes
then
the
my
story
cover
better,
was
though.
blown.
Yeah.
Somewhat. So I just looked at her and I was like, you should stand right there. And she's like, right here. I'm like, yeah, it'll look good in the photos.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah. So then I just hopped in the boat, grabbed the ring, popped out. She was still super happy. Basically, all she said was yes, 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 yes.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's funny. We were with our friends tonight on a date night, and they were asking about it. And she's like, Alyssa looked at me. She's like, "Do you even remember what you said?" I'm like, "No, I remember entering the dock, telling you to put your hood down, and I remember looking at DeMarque and being like, okay, do you need anything else?' I don't remember anything in between. Just total blackout."
Oh boy.
What did you say? What did she say?
She said I basically just said like I've been wanting to do this since like the first night we went out here, and yeah, like, will you marry me? And she was just like, yes. That was it. Super simple, but yeah, no, it was good. So yeah, now I'm engaged, and we've made a preliminary list of everyone that needs to go, and now I've realized why everyone complains about wedding planning.
You can imagine.
You're like a good planner, though, dude. Like you're really like you're good.
I am,
you're
but it's
super
so
organized.
many people, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when that's a problem, like Sobi, you're fucked whenever you do your thing, man. There's so many people. You're gonna start going through your contact list, and you're like, well, yeah, they should probably get invited. And then all of a sudden you're at like 300 people, and you're like, this is not good. I'm a fisherman, and I already don't have money.
Yeah. I've always thought that. I'm like, just because you've made so many contacts, people inside the industry, buddies of buddies, fishing buddies. Like a person knows more people than they probably think, and then it's like, holy smokes. Dude,
And then also they probably have a +1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Dude, it don't matter what you have for food or anything. Just freaking get a bunch of cold beer. Get all the cold beer.
Cold beer, and we're gonna have some fun. It'll be in the fall, hopefully next year. We're trying to figure out a date and a venue right now. So
even if you're like,
obviously everybody here will be invited. So we might have our first Pass the Barb exclusive contact.
We're gonna need a
blow your
fat-ass
commitment
budget
by
for this one.
shooting a pot at your wedding. Oh, Melissa, just give me like 2 hours, okay?
Yeah.
We'll have our own
We'll
separate
do it. Yeah,
table.
we'll do it
Right
night.
after the
It'll be
photos, first dance, be like, okay, I gotta go record.
Yeah, we got
DJ Khaled is like, the first dance is happening now. Oh wait, just kidding. Adam's shooting a Pass the Barb.
We're in the middle of a weigh-in right now.
Yeah.
He's currently losing, actually, so he really needs his pick.
Oh man, that's electric though. Congratulations, that's so freaking cool, and it's a cool story, and like how you had it planned out, and you had DeMarque there, and that's really cool. Like those are photos that like you're gonna look back on and be like, damn. Hell yeah,
I would definitely encourage. I mean, anybody who's maybe thinking about this or anything, just from being the guy who shoots the photos to the guy who's doing it. I think whoever you're proposing to will be very, very, very happy if you plan with someone to take photos of a natural reaction.
Yeah.
And then
Especially
figure
if
out
it's
the engagement and photos and everything after, but like put time into figuring that out because it means a lot. And you can always look back on that day. Like that's a very unscripted, real moment. And guys who are good, or guys or gals who are good at capturing that, like it means a lot. So definitely, if you take anything from that, like definitely look into that, invest in that. And I know a lot of the photographers and stuff like DeMarque, yeah, he's a friend, and like I shoot photos for people doing that. We're very willing to manipulate our schedules to help with that because like that's a lifelong moment.
Yeah,
that's very important. So it's like, yeah, I'll make that work. Like I'll be there. So definitely look into that. But other than that, I mean, getting away from, I guess, the sappy talk of Pass the Barb, Sobi, we'll get back to my fishing, but Sobi, you're fishing for a boat.
Boom. Ooh. Boom. Boom.
Did it.
Slithered in there.
We're going to the championship. We're going to the Champions Tour Championship. Almost like a year ago to the day was like freaking the worst day ever. Last year, I was on the bubble and we were fishing Lake Lahamadou, and I had like an okay tournament. Not great, but like out of whatever, I don't know, 80 dudes, I finished like 25th. And that put me in AOI standings at like 31st.
You're 33rd. Because
33rd. And they take whatever 31 people. And I was the first. I know I was the first man out by literally ounces over the course of the whole year.
No.
And it was on August 22nd. It was on my birthday. The tournament was on my birthday. And they're like, yo, Glenn comes up and he's like, we crunched all the numbers, did the math. You're like the first one out. I'm like, oh, sick.
That's fine.
That's fine. That's exactly what I want.
Good.
I mean,
No.
I don't
Good.
expect to like roll in there and win a boat, but I'm like, I wanted to freaking compete for it. And I just drove home and I'm like, that freaking sucks so bad, dude. That's the big suck. Big suck.
Yes.
You are big suck. That's what I felt like. And this year, boom, we freaking were in.
Well,
So I'm
dude,
fired
and
up.
Pink at the Sobi can talk about the St. Croix, but I was filming it, and at like 2:30 in the afternoon or 3, I was like, I wonder where Sobi is, because I'm obviously covering like the top 6 guys, and it's really hard to be in the top of those events. So I'm just scrolling through the app looking for Sobi, and I see he's in like 35th, and I'm doing the math in my head, and I'm like, God, he's going to be right on the bubble again. And then about like 10 minutes later, he's at 38th, 39th, and I'm like, oh no, this is going to happen again.
Yeah.
And then we like get into check-in, and he's in 20th. And I'm like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And he just there's some sketchy service on the St. Croix River, so I'm assuming you had to call in some fish or something, Sam.
Yeah,
I don't know
dude.
what happened.
I was
Then he
fishing
finished
this
fine. He's
section of the river. There's
15th
like
in
no
points
service.
now. So
Yeah. Ended up good. Ended up like 15th overall. But we were in whole second half. We were like, I was fishing this neck down bluffy area. There's just like not a drop of service, and we were trying to call in. I'm like, dude, call those people and tell them we got fish. Tell them we didn't shit the bed. Like, you tell them. You tell them. We have 10 fish registered. You tell them.
were you down, Sobi? Were you down south of the 2 no wakes?
I was fishing in the second no wake.
Okay, yeah. Because covering there, it was like the whole area had great service, but you got to that neck down there.
Yeah.
And like, dude, I was covering guys who were leading, and then like I would drift to another boat, and my phone would go SOS.
Yeah.
And like you'd meander over 50 feet, and you had 5 bars, and you were
Well, at
like,
least it's
I
not
don't
like
know
you're not
what's
trying to like
going
live
on right
cover
here.
it, though, right? I mean,
Huh?
with the you're not trying to live cover it with the video, though, right? You're just
No, I was just
leaderboard.
trying to get stuff up on social media. So I'm looking at
yeah.
Newman going, can you drift 50 feet down river? Because I think I have better cell service here. And I did. It was so weird.
It was weird. That place is also like, for how close it is to the metro, the St. Croix River, like right in Hudson, Wisconsin. Like, it's a really beautiful place. It's not built up. Like, for how many people go there and party and chill, like there's not like houses on it. Like, it looks like a wild river. It looks really cool. And
Yeah, once you get south of Aspen, it gets really remote.
yeah,
It's
And
very cool, Pink. You would love it.
you would love it.
how
And
spread
Hahner,
out
you'd
were
like
how
it.
spread out were people? Like
there was
didn't they have like a cutoff for that, right? You can't just go anywhere.
Yeah, you could go up to there was basically a line up north where you're not allowed to take your boat north of because of like some zebra mussel thing basically. But you can't take your boat north of a certain place if you launched in Stillwater or Hudson, and then you couldn't go to Pool 3 of the Mississippi River.
You could
So
go down
basically that
Mississippi
railroad
Prescott.
bridge in Prescott, you couldn't go south of.
Got it. Okay.
It was all St. Croix, but there were guys running up north of Stillwater from Hudson, and there were guys who fished in Prescott the whole time. And
there
the guys
was-
who
there was
fished
guys,
in
yeah.
Prescott who like Evan Blakely, for example, I mean, the video will come out. He was down by Prescott basically the whole time. Well, they have a halftime. So like in the morning, you have to drive down there. And then halftime, you have to come back. And then after halftime, he had to go back down there. And then he had to go back. Like other guys fish for 8 hours. Evan Blakely probably fished for 6.5.
Oh yeah,
maybe
maybe
6 hours.
even less. Like, even where I was
With
at,
no wakes. Like
yeah.
those no wakes were insane. Sobi, you can talk about it. Sorry.
No. But even where I was at, it took a solid 30, 35 minutes to get back to where we needed to get to. So like I burned a half an hour going there, half an hour going back, half an hour going there, half an hour going back. So, and these guys, some of these guys were way, way, way farther than me. So if each half is like a 4-hour tournament, they were probably fishing for freaking 2.5 hours. Like that's it.
Yeah. In each period.
What were you catching, Sam?
Smallies,
Smallmouth?
mainly smallies. I weighed in one largemouth, but it was mainly smallies. And I'm not a river rat, but anything I could credit going into it was literally like Wolf River stuff. You know what I mean? Anything from chatterbaits to, fishing cover, like a lot of flooded wood next to the highest current areas where they'd sit behind, like bluff wall, throwing a swing head. Like if I had never fished the Wolf River in college UWSP, I'd probably have friggin' blanked at this derb, like dead ass. So it was interesting.
It's a cool stretch. It kind of looks like the Wisconsin Dells a little bit. It's really interesting. The bluffs, and you're right. It's very remote for how close it is to the cities.
It definitely had some big fish though, like Walker. I mean, he won it, but he had like probably 17, maybe a little more for 5. And
dang.
Do you know what the biggest? Do they say like what the biggest fish weighed in was or anything?
Yeah, Chappie had a 4-5 smallie.
Okay,
that's a big.
There was a couple other 4-pounders, decent amount of 3s, decent amount of 3-pounders. There is an ungodly amount of 12-ouncer to 14-ouncers. I sat on Chase Hall in the morning. He was like in third place. That dude caught a fish every cast for 3 hours. And about every 4th cast, he caught a scoreable.
Really?
It was extremely impressive.
What was he doing?
It was honestly like walleye fish. Well, dude, you were in the area. Him and Mark Kortz and Dane Vaselka, and
they were out in front of that area. Dang, yeah.
Yeah, they were sitting up there in front of a sand flat, throwing like a Ned rig up, spot lock, and they'd like count it down with the rocks and stuff. Like your walleye jigging. And all of a sudden it just smallmouth. And you just reel it in, and it was like this big.
Awesome.
Dang.
Yeah. They were very little.
But where did Pinkalla go? Is he gone?
He's back now. I think he was resetting his stuff.
Okay, there he is.
But yeah, no, it was super cool stretch of river. Like Sobi said, very beautiful. Really pretty.
Yeah.
Eagles everywhere. And as far as like, besides the fishing, I can't believe how poppin' that river is. Like, because we were practicing out there on like Saturday and Sunday. Like, there's houseboats galore. Like the biggest
the boat
yachts,
traffic is astronomical.
biggest houseboats. There's chicks on sandbars like partying, like crazy partying, and they're partying on Sunday too. People are having campfires, and then like there's a whole
private nude beach.
Oh yeah, dude, I believe it.
There was nobody on it when we went by it, but it was there. It was marked.
Dude, the culture there is almost like a permanent ice shack culture. I even saw like poles and posts that had water and electric, and people would pull their yachts up to it, plug in power, and then they like anchor and camp there overnight and sleep in their yachts on the St. Croix River. I've never experienced this. It was weird.
Liferman told me that he saw that they had like floating restrooms or like outhouses in certain parts of it.
I believe it, dude. That
Yeah, he said he's like, it's crazy how like clean or like well maintained it is with like people. Like you're able to just get to stuff.
It's nice. It's not a sketchy river. It's not a river where like there's yachts rolling around. They don't have Lake Master, right? Like they're just rolling.
Yeah, that is what's cool. There's not like wing dams or shit to hit. It's just like you're in the water and you're running around.
I think that's my greatest pet peeve of tournament fishing is when I feel so claustrophobic about not knowing an area that 90% of your practice is just wasted driving around.
Yeah.
Just stuck on sandbars and logs. It's worse.
Yeah.
And I have a question for Cody and Ryan kind of about this. Like, I don't know, at expos or whatever, how much it's been talked about. I saw a decent amount of folks out there like musky banging.
Yeah, I saw guys hucking bucktails, and I was like, "Is there muskies on the St. Croix River?"
Like they're kind of crawling on some of my shit, and I was like, "Come on, come on!"
That's
they were
actually a
grinding.
pretty.
I'm gonna throw a Ned rig at you.
Yeah, like,
That's a pretty popular section, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they big, or is it just like?
They got.
Yeah, there's plenty of 50s in there.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep, there and then the upper stretches of the Mississippi are like the forbidden fruit
Interesting.
They've filmed some cool stuff out there too. I know, like what Larry Dahlberg did, like a thing where they fished out there like a ton, like one season for like just a sick amount of days.
Yeah. Yep.
I know. I mean, what was cool for me to see on the St. Croix was the amount of a lot of white bass, smallmouth did it too, but just the amount of bait chasers. Like you just be going down the river, and all of a sudden the river's just like exploded.
Yeah. Well,
it's like 10:30 in the morning for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was like down south, honestly, with a herring lake. Like all of a sudden, just the tops rolling. That's how Walker ended up winning.
And I liked it too. Like Ryan, you'd love this. Like it was a straight up like that section river was like straight up like fishy river where there's locals out and they are absolutely just annihilating white bass, like pounding them. And I got walleye guys that are next to me who are literally like walleye fishing. I'm catching walleyes, some smallmouth, and then I'm catching drum, and then I'm catching white bass, and then I catch a largie, and then I catch another walleye, then I catch a drum, and I'm like, this is like river, you know, like this is a river full of life. Like this is kind of sweet. Like
I fished that. Like, because I'll put in like in Hastings and then run down to like where the confluence is and then run up the St. Croix, you know?
Yeah.
Like that section where the whatever that other river, like the Kinnickinnick River comes in right there. Like there's just so much fish there, dude. It's nutty.
That was very popular in the tournament.
Yeah.
That's where I was fishing, kind of the mouth of the Kinnickinnick.
Yeah, that's like a sick area for sure. And it's so cool down there.
But it's cool because like you're on this big ass river and all of a sudden it's like 100 yards wide.
Yeah.
Narrow shit.
Yeah. No, that's like pretty sweet. Cause I don't know. They don't hold that many like large format tournaments in that area, I don't think.
Which I don't know why now, because you could host big tournaments out of there. Like a lot.
Honestly, I was talking to Peter from the Minnesota Bass Nation Team Trail after that event because he was asking how it was, and I was like, dude, to be honest, like weights will be low, but it's a great tournament venue.
Well, it can eat up a lot of boats. Yeah.
Yeah, you can run wherever. There's fish everywhere, and you can catch them in 25 feet. You can catch them in 6 inches.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're everywhere.
Especially if you didn't have a cutoff, like going on the Mississippi part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were doing like your team trail out there, for like a 5-fish derb, you'd have dudes that would crawl back into shit going for largemouth. You'd have dudes bait chasing. You'd have dudes fishing bluffs with a friggin' swing head. You'd have dudes flipping wood. Like you'd have dudes doing a lot of different stuff for 5 fish.
Yeah, there's a lot of different patterns out there, and that's what's cool. Like Walker, the videos show, I mean, Walker won it in the morning chasing bait chasers. He was scoping, and he just got in an area, and he'd been catching them at the same pace as everyone else, but then for like 30 minutes, he had a school of 3-pounders just ignite. Wow. Like
I was gonna say, I didn't
rapids, water all the way around him.
Yeah, like, I didn't watch it that close, but it did look like he was pretty much running away with it like the whole day.
Well, he ran, so it was like he was same pace as everyone, and then for an hour he got up by 20 pounds, and then he was same pace. Yeah, okay. He just ran into a school of big ones that like went apeshit.
Dang.
And it was cool. Like, it's cool to see because then the whole day, like, we were like, well, Walker's, you would think's going to win this. But then in the back of your head, you're like, well, he just ran into a school of 3-pounders that ignited. Someone else could do that at any point in time.
Right.
And Noah and Evan Blakely in the afternoon started getting after him pretty good, but they just couldn't close the gap. And that's kind of what's cool with that format. It was fun to watch. But Sobi, you excited for the championship now? You get to fish for a boat, like
yeah, big time.
And how many guys are in that?
32.
Where's it at?
Minnewaska.
What's Minnewaska like?
There's so many bass.
I heard I heard it's a great fishery. I heard it has largemouth.
It's really good. It's a lot of fun.
It's up in like kind of by
bass in there.
Alexandria, Minnesota. It's like central Minnesota area, and I guess it's loaded with bass. It's got everything from shallow smallmouth to largemouth and reeds to schools of largemouth out in kind of deep weeds, good docks. Like it's any way you kind of want to catch a bass, but like,
is it like a natural lake? Like, okay.
It's from what I heard, because I haven't been there for about 5 years for a bass tournament now, maybe more. But from what I heard, the way it's fishing right now, it's going to be an absolute smash fest because there's so many 2-pounders in there. From the way it sounds, whoever wins a boat is going to have to catch somewhere between 100 to 200 pounds of bass, depending what school they get on.
So many bass, dude.
Like there's so many
for that format.
Yeah, it's made for it. Like last place in the championship might catch 60 pounds of bass. Like there's just bass.
What's the Champs Tour record?
The record Adam Rasmussen set, and it was 246 or 248.
I mean,
I was in his boat. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life.
That's ridiculous.
That was a point in a time in my life where people have told me they've had 100 fish day, and I tell everyone bullshit because I filmed Adam Rasmussen catch 99 bass in 8 hours. And I do not feasibly think anyone could catch more than what he did because he caught one every cast. It was every 2 minutes for 8 hours. Like, I don't know how you can beat that. You know what I mean? Like actual mathematic pace.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Even now after fishing this format, there's people like, oh, we probably caught 50 bass. I'm like, no, you didn't. No,
exactly.
Dude, I know what it'd be. I know it's like to catch 50 bass, and it's absolutely beating the shit out of them faster than you could ever really imagine. Like, no. Like, because I've had days too where I'm like, oh shit, I probably caught like 50 bass.
Yeah, you caught 25 to 30.
Yeah, you probably caught like 30 bass. Maybe you caught 35 bass, which is a crazy good day, like wicked good. But 50 bass is like so many bass. It's so many bass. And 99, like what Adam caught, would be like. So many bass.
Yeah. So Sobi, do you think have you gotten up there to pre-practice, or are you just getting the 1 or day and a half?
Yeah, that's kind of the whole weird thing with this.
Do you want to explain the pre-practice to everybody?
So like before this tournament, like Minnewaska was like on limits. Like you could go there and pre-practice whatever, and like, you know, after what happened last year, I'm like, no, dude, you need to like just get there. You know what I mean? No, don't do the chicken before the egg or the egg before the chicken type deal. Like, no. You need to just make sure you get there. And I didn't like pre-practice on Minnewaska or anything, but now we're allocated 1 day of practice. We get a Sunday from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then the next day we can just idle around for like half day. So you're fishing for a boat, but you get one day of practice, but maybe others have pre-practice days. So I don't know. I'll probably go out there and just really try to freaking figure some shit out quick. Like how I could catch fish. Yeah,
I think it's like 8 miles long. It's about probably 7,000 acres.
Yeah,
and it's just a bowl. It's like 30 feet deep. There's not much to it. It's interesting. There's just bass everywhere.
But the thing is, I just got to beat 30 dudes. Got to beat 30 dudes one day.
Yeah.
Have one really good day and beat 30 dudes, and maybe win a $70,000 boat.
Yeah,
you know, so. I'm excited for it. I'm really, really excited. All right, moving on to Ryan or Cody.
Yeah, well, I guess
I think it's up to Ryan.
Oh no, yeah. Let's get. I want to talk about a little bit of fishing too, and like primarily last night. So we had another. I'll blow this because I don't think Sam's probably going to use any of this in his video anyway. But we had one of our Tuesday nighters last night. Well, Sam was at the Champs Tour, and so he wasn't planning on making it back in time. Him and Steph are kind of like on the bubble in Tourney Tuesday to make it to the end. And so Steph had no partner to fish. So then basically what shook out was me and Connor split up and fished against each other. Connor fished with Steph as their sub.
Oh, God.
And I fished alone. It was like how it ended up shaking out. And it would end up being pretty grimy, dude. Like it was not fun for me at all. And but yeah, Connor ended up they had a limit, not like a good limit, but they ended up, I think, getting like 5th or something. Like they did okay. Like it was just
Good
it was
points.
bad. It was
Yeah.
bad. It was bad. And then I think, yeah, maybe there was maybe 6 or 7 limits, maybe something like that. It was kind of
grimy.
a tough night. But yeah, I did not perform last night. I'll tell you that. I definitely committed to something that was not happening. and then when I realized it, I was like, it's too late.
Let's keep going.
Ride it to the end.
You guys did a major solid though. Like before this whole week, like when I knew I was going to be gone and I'd reach out to some buddies, like all my buddies are fishing the state TOC, like the
they're
state
up on
beyond Vermilion. The other half of my buddies are doing Champions Tour. The other half of my buddies have guide trips. I don't know anyone else with a bass boat or can fish. And like, I know people that can fish, like Steph's brothers, but I'm like, dang, I want Steph. Steph's like a bass angler. You know what I mean? Like she knows what the hell she's doing. And then when I reach out to Ryan and Connor, they freaking stepped up and they're like, all right, we'll split up and just we'll hook mama up. One of us going to take mama out. And I was like,
well, the best was
guys are solid.
Steph's telling me, she's like, well, I was like, well, what were you going to do if like it didn't work? She's like, well, I was just going to fish from shore. and
I would have done not bad.
She's like, I would have had to like put him on a stringer on the dock to like weigh him in. And I was like, oh my God.
That would have been so fair, Bo.
Dude, yeah. And she like sacked him up too from the boat ramp. People to come in and she just like has a stringer like tied to the pier. Like, what's up?
Yeah, I got 3, but they're all 3 pounds. And they'd be like, oh shit.
Yeah. But it was good. I mean, I think they definitely salvaged last night for you guys. I mean, we were so out of it anyway after we got DQ'd. It doesn't really matter. So whatever. I was just out there having fun. I caught a pretty nice pike right away, and I was like, that sucks. Because I was like, obviously, I was trying to frog them out of this little spot, and they were there, but they had like all pushed back. They were inside the cattails, dude. You ever seen that, Hahner?
Yes.
Like there was all this like nice pads and mats and stuff, and I was like, come on. But I've seen that before where like all the bait is in there and you can hear them blowing up. And I've never made that work in my favor ever.
Yeah, you can't get them out.
It was exactly like Bart when we fished that one last year.
Yeah, and you're like, I'm fucked.
It was the same thing. It was the same thing. I got there and I was like, this isn't going to work. But I was like, but what if they like pull out, So I kind of rode that to death. It didn't work. I ended up dock banging a little bit and caught a couple like short ones. I got one keeper in there, and then I dinked around a little bit more, and then eventually I'm like, I got to go back to that section, and I went back there right at the end, and I ended up hooking one underneath of a dock that I like fought out, and I didn't think it was that big, and then I got it up to the boat, and it was like probably a 4-pounder. I had it right to the gunnel of the boat. I literally could have just grabbed it and like flipped it in the boat, but I was like, oh, I should net it, and did that. It makes like one run, and it was like a wacky rig worm, and I had like a Nico hook, and it just straightened the hook out, and I was like, that's right. That seems right
on par
today.
Damn.
So yeah, it was a tough night, but it was actually kind of fun. And whatever. And I think Connor had a pretty good. It sounded like they caught a lot of fish. They just didn't catch a lot of big ones.
Yeah, they did catch off. Steph said they just found a couple stretches with some trees in the water, and like kind of like you said, the bass were just dirt shallow, like dirty shallow.
Yeah, I think maybe like 14 pounds one, or something. And
they were flipping pads. They're dirt shallow too.
Yeah, I mean they started where I did, and they didn't catch a single fish either. So, but yeah, I don't know.
Hahner, you been banging fish lately, or what?
I got one more good one here.
Oh shit!
Uh-oh.
So after last night, I was like, I need to set the hook on something and injure it. And so after work, I came home and I loaded the yak up, and I went down to one of my little holes down here, and I got the first 6P of the season, boys.
There you
out
go.
of the yak.
Very nice.
Don't call it a comeback.
I haven't got a 6 in a while.
I haven't either.
A long time.
And I'll tell you what, it looks big.
Yeah.
Before we started the chat, Ryan told me this story too. And I was like, okay, come on, 6 feet. And then he sent me a picture and he's like, it was 22.5 inches long. And he sent me a picture and I was like, holy shit, dude. Like this is a real one.
Yeah, it crushed. I was burning a buzzbait and it crushed it and didn't get hooked. And I reeled up and I threw a frog. It was just in open water. Threw a frog back right to where it had blown up. I twitched it 2 times and it didn't bite.
Ooh.
It didn't bite. And I was like, really? And I twitched it one more time and it just got nuked.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's a freaking mag.
Yeah, and it jumped like 10 times. And I was like, I'm going to lose this. I'm going to lose it. But
Yeah, and then you saw where the frog was hooked, and you're
and
like,
it's it was
yeah.
it was hooked like in the mind, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
you're like,
Yeah.
he's mine.
And they got them big old eyes like that.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So anyway, that was well worth a little yak mission tonight. But anyway,
That's awesome. That's redemption.
Hahner, you been fishing?
Fishing a little bit. I've gone musky fishing a couple times out on Green Bay, and that has just been disappointing.
I was gonna say, is this the
Say
time of year
Louise.
musky fishing where most of the musky guys are like, "Don't target muskies. The water's too hot. You're gonna
Yeah,
kill them."
it's getting to be about that time of year. Let's see.
what's
What
the
else?
water temp on the bay?
Yeah, I was gonna say, does that ever
80.
happen on Green Bay where the
Okay,
It's 80 on Green Bay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I
Really?
was
Yeah.
just in Wisconsin
But
over the weekend.
I'm sure after the
Same
last
thing.
couple of days, it's back down to like 74 or something with all the wind and rain. But
Dude, I kind of don't. I'm not like a Great Lakes guy, but I kind of like don't believe that. I don't, because the Bay and obviously the Great Lakes are so cold. I don't believe that it's actually 80 degrees. I
No.
believe like this is 80 degrees.
Mhm.
Maybe
I-
this is 80 degrees. These fish are living in probably 60-degree water temp, 65, maybe
Yeah.
70. Like there's no way it's 80 all
No.
the way down.
I don't believe that either. Like there's so one of the big places out there to fish it's no secret, it's Pensacola. And once you get to the tip of Pensacola, like basically there's a big giant eddy. It's a giant point that sticks out into the bay, and it's like any sort of current eddy like that you'd see on a river but in a larger scale. But once you hit the point, like your boat rips across
Really?
that point, like rips, and the water temp drops like 8 degrees once you're out on the tip versus 75 yards away where the water kind of eddies around the point. So yeah, I'm with you. I don't believe that at all either. I think you can go out like 50 yards out into 20 feet and it's going to change.
Yeah. Dang.
But yeah, we since, let's see, I've seen hooked 3 fish well over 50. None of them got to the net. I watched like I don't know, a mid 50s eat one of those new pit bulls that came out, ate it, set the hook, and I broke my line because I think he had the leader and everything in his mouth. So I basically in 3 casts lost a bait that's you're not going to be able to get for the next 6 months.
which is
That's
nice.
fun.
Which is nice. So that was nice.
And at least the fish wasn't big, you know.
No, that was fine. And then I grabbed I bought 2 of them. Then I grabbed my other pit bull, and like 2 casts later, I got another rip, and then I missed that one obviously. And then like 4 casts later, a pike ripped its tail off. So
Well, you shouldn't have to
But
worry
that's
about
gotta-
throwing that anymore.
No. That
I
takes
think you
that out
should
of
go
the
back to
equation.
the
Less
trout
options are better.
Trout seems better.
It treated me way better. Way better. I'm a much better steelhead fisherman than I am a musky fisherman. It sucks.
Are you going during the day or at night or?
We went, my buddy lost a really, really big one at night, and that was full moon, like 10 o'clock at night. So nothing super crazy, but I was going through the day for the most part. But I mean, now like that the word is out, like the last 3 weekends, guys were banging like 56s and 54s and 55s like crazy.
Wow.
I mean, at full moon, I know one guy, he said he went like 8 for 14 the one day on the full moon. and he caught a 56 and a couple other 50s. But once word gets out about that, like those spots, there's 35 boats casting muskies and 200 yards.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah,
Dang.
but that's about the brunt of my fishing. So like lately, missing muskies.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, I just had, I guess my side, I think last time we recorded, just got back from Mille Lacs, had fun up there, went and got to do my first time, just like, well, not my first time, but kind of just feeling really comfortable with solely scoping, and that went really well. It was a lot of fun. So,
Nice.
Other than that, last 2 weeks, I went up to Leech and pre-practice for a little bit for the Open. I will say it was really weird getting to pre-practice for an Open, like in your backyard. It was very strange.
That tournament's gonna be so sick.
It's gonna be, yeah. I mean, we can talk about it. I'm fine talking about it. I don't really care, but it's going to be really interesting because there's not as many smallmouth as people are used to catching. Like you go to St. Clair, the St. Lawrence, or Champlain, or where these places have been, dude, you can just blast them all at practice. That is not Leech. Like that's not these Minnesota smallmouth fisheries. You can't do that. Yeah. They get really smart. They get really hard to catch. They move a lot, especially on Leech. They move an astronomical amount on Leech. I don't know why. And I don't know why they're so hard to catch because, I mean, it's been well documented that we haven't been able to weigh in these smallmouth for our whole lives until the last 3 years. So really, they haven't seen any pressure in their whole lives. And there's been not a ton of tournaments, some, but not like people are like, oh, they're so pressured now. It's like, dude, they're not pressured at all compared to anywhere. Mm-hmm. And like I heard Gordon Fothergill, I think, said it the best. He's like, there's these smallmouth they're smallmouth that act like they've seen a bait for 50 years. And they really are. And they're really, really hard to catch. But it was really cool being able to go pre-practice. I went up there. I just drove around for a while just looking at stuff and kind of just getting out there and getting in the mindset of how do I want to do this? Like I'm familiar with the fishery. I know probably what it's going to take. Honestly, like I think the winner's probably going to have 65 pounds over 3 days.
Wow.
If it's calm, it might be 70.
Really?
It's going to be really big. But it could be 60. It really just depends how windy it is in practice. And the largemouth are going to play to some level. And it's going to be a really big chess match tournament. And like even right now, it's a chess match of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because
trying to avoid.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard. There's been a lot of guys up there pre-practicing who've been struggling. I'll be honest. I went up there I fished for 2 hours. I had the best day I've ever had. And 24.5 to 26. And I broke off the biggest one I've ever hooked in my life. So that was fucking sweet. But that was really enjoyable. But other than that, I just drove around in circles for a long time. I didn't see there was 40 guys pre-practicing. And I didn't see any boats, which was really weird. But yeah, it's going to be a really interesting tournament. It went off limits last Saturday. So now the lake's just kind of sitting dormant. And I hope they're just setting up, and I just feel really bad for all the fish in that lake because they're about to get a wrath of hell unleashed on them that they have never, ever seen.
Yeah.
That's like something I always think about too. And like, I'm not just like trying to relate this back to Champions Tour. I am with like data, like whatever on Gull, like that app. It's so cool. You can see like how many fish were caught over the whole tournament. Like on Gull,
Dude, there were 2,000 bass caught.
there's 2,000 bass.
That is ridiculous.
Hooked successfully and landed successfully and weighed in successfully. And the thing is, there's only like 75, 80 dudes doing that. So now you take 200 dudes with all those days of practice and the tournament. Are we talking like we could do some math? Let's just do.
Well, there's not as many bass in Leech.
I know,
We'll
but
say
I'm just
5,000 to 7,000 bass will get hooked in practice.
like no doubt.
Yeah.
With 200 people, if like 5,000 bass will probably get hooked. That's crazy. And then you got to go out and fish a derb and get your biggest ones. Like that's
Yeah, and there's not that many small.
Will it fish small if the wind gets up, or is there?
If the wind blows, it's gonna fish tiny. It's
Yeah.
gonna be literally the smallest tournament you've ever seen in your life.
I believe that.
It's gonna be disgusting.
Yeah.
Like it will be gross. There's gonna be like 5 boats thrown at one thing, and not like a big thing, like
Yeah.
a little thing.
Trying to catch the 10 smallmouth.
the 4, like or 2, like not. Gonna be like, man, they won't bite, and be
I
like,
love
wonder why
those.
they were probably caught 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Like,
When is that? That's coming up soon, right?
it's not this Saturday. It'll be not this Saturday, 2 Saturdays. So practice starts in like 10 days officially.
you got to be like wicked excited though. Like
I'm
there's
very excited. I mean, anybody in Minnesota who says they didn't sign up for the Opens because of Leech is lying. Like I signed up for that Open because all of them because of Leech. It'll be cool. I have no idea how it's going to go down. Like I said, it's going to be the biggest chess match bass fishing tournament you've ever seen in your life. I personally hope the wind blows 15 to 25 every day.
I would too.
Every single day. I hope it blows like a motherfucker out of whatever direction. I don't care. I just hope it blows. Because that place, that's one thing. I talked to a handful of the guys who came up, and they were like, because the wind got up in pre-practice, and they all said, I cannot believe how nasty this place is. I was like, yeah, it's disgusting. But yeah, it'll be really cool. There's a, I mean, it's set up really good right now, but we'll see what it's like in 2 weeks. You have no idea. But then after Leech went down to Gull for the team trail, last stop of the team trail, that was super fun. Cody,
Yeah.
if you need some largemouth bass therapy, we can go have some largemouth bass therapy. Gull Lake might be one of the best bass fishing lakes in the Midwest right now. Sobi, you were there.
Hunter P. Yeah. If you want to just peg a 3/4 ounce craw tube and flip your brains out and have the most fun ever, you can do
That
it.
sounds fantastic.
If you want to dock fish, you can do that. If you want to finesse fich, anyway you want to do it.
That doesn't sound so much fun. But
Just
go back a little bit. That
Like
sounds
unsay that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I posted an Instagram reel the night of tournament day, but in like tournament day, Voight had found a school because practice. I had a really good practice. I've fished Gull a lot, and I went out for a few hours. I caught quite a few big ones, and I was like, "Hey, this is what I'm gonna do." And then I had the worst 2 days of practice I've ever had in my life because I just fished docks for 2 fucking days because I was like, I don't want to go fish what I want to fish. So it sucked. But Voight went and fished a bunch of stuff because he never fished there. And I told him where to just stay away from and try to find some other ones. Well, he found this school, and I just posted an Instagram reel of it. And it was the best bass fishing therapy for 30 minutes I've had in forever.
It's awesome.
Dude, we pulled up and he's like, yeah, there were a couple here. I don't know how many are here. And I like pulled up, got my boat ready, and we're like flipping just into some milfoil and flipping, and got right by his dots. And I flip, just doom, set the hook, hit spot lock, and weigh and flip back. And I'm like, maybe there's another one. Doom, set the hook. Shit, maybe there's another one. 30 minutes later, you're like, I wonder if there's another one. And you're flipping back, and there's grass floating everywhere.
From
and
the throttling.
The best.
Carnage.
Yeah, because after 10 minutes, you're like, I know I'm going to flip back, and another one.
How deep were you? Were you up in it? Were you on the edge?
Yeah, we're in like 7 feet.
Oh, you're up in it.
Yeah, we're up in it. We're in like 7 feet, and you're just like, dude, after like the 8th one bit, you're like, I'm going to flip back, and I'm going to catch another one. And the best part was you'd flip, and you wouldn't get bit, and you're like, oh, you reel back, set your rod down, grab a different rod, and be like, now I'll get bit. And you flip in a different bait. Dung. It was the best. It was so much fun. So, yeah, we ended up, we weighed 20 pounds, 20.17. We took third. And, yeah, ended up, we tied in points for the last spot to make the championship.
Wow.
So what's the tiebreaker then?
There's not. So if you tie, they take both. So there was one spot, but we tied. And what's funny is, so we tied with Dane and Aaron.
Oh, wow.
And Dane and Aaron had a bomb tournament. And Dane and Aaron threw, like, they were not cull beaming 2.5s to, like, try to get to 14 3/4. If they would have just hopped one spot, we wouldn't have made it. And then, like, for example, we took third. Harrison and Johnston took fourth. They had 20.13.
Oh.
So, like, if they had 0.05 more, we wouldn't have made it. So it was like crazy string of luck to make it. But the championship is down on Tatanka Sakata, Sobi.
You're going to the ship, dude.
Really?
That's why I was so fired up. Like, you had one really good tournament, one bad tournament, and now a great tournament to get you guys back in it. And like, you're going to the ship, and it's almost literally kind of in your backyard. These are your stomping grounds. This is some of your dance floor.
Yeah, I would say I don't have a ton of experience on Tatanka Sakata, but those lakes by your house. Like, I have so much experience in southern Minnesota in September. And that's where I don't have a ton of experience there, but I was like, dude, if I don't get a fish here in September, I'm going to be so pissed.
Yeah.
Because it's just unique and it's so fun. It's finally fun to fish down there. Like, that's when it's fun. You know that, Sobi. We filmed the one down there at that
Especially
time.
when, like, later in the fall, later in the summer, early fall, like, that's when things can get cool. And there's hogs, dude. Like, you might not catch 1,000 bass, but like, you're gonna catch bigs.
Yeah. And I was talking to Noah about it today, and he's like, dude, the weights are gonna be ridiculous because of the flood and everything going on. It's gonna be dumb. So that'll be a good time. But anyways, we spent an hour catching up with everybody. That's good.
Yeah.
Ben
I got one, just
Honorable mention per se.
an honorable mention that's not fishing. So we started getting some cooler days. I've been seeing people posting a lot more trail cam pics and stuff. People are getting rowdy, dude. Things are coming.
Do you have your cams out yet?
No, I don't. I do have a piece that I'm gonna put them out on though.
Sobi does.
I've got 3 cameras out, not all of
You
them.
been seeing anything?
Yeah, dude. Like, I've seen a lot of mamas, a lot of babies, and I've actually got like one. Usually on the land we hunt, we don't hunt a lot of land. Like, I just have farmer permission for like 80 acres here. We usually see 0 bucks until the rut, and I've got like a small bachelor group that's been rolling around between my stands. One's like a small little 8 and a little 6-pointer, and then one like a spike. Yeah. And it's these 3 that they just been running game around here, dude.
Hell yeah.
Hopefully they get the first crack at the does, and then they just
Yeah.
Get
I
kicked out of
got
there.
permission on a new piece that I'm gonna try to get some cameras up here maybe in the next week or so and just see what's going on. But I just went to Colorado for like a weekend.
Talk about that a little bit.
Doing a little, it was just like more, it was kind of
Yeah.
a scouting mission.
I got a
But-
Snapchat and I was like, what the fuck? Where's Pink right now? That
Yeah.
doesn't look like the bluffs in
No.
Hastings.
No, yeah, it was just kind of all lined up. I mean, I'm going out there elk hunting again this fall, and I had a new spot that I kind of is a unit that I've hunted before, but a spot I wanted to get into that I think because I told the story on here before, but it was one where like we tried to get up into a spot and we didn't make it there, and we ended up bailing out or whatever. So I was like, had my mindset I was going to figure out how to get up there and actually do like a summer hike up there and like learn it a little bit. So me and my buddy TJ went out there. He had like a work thing going on in Colorado for a couple days anyway. So he's like, oh, I'll come out a couple days early. And I ended up flying out there. We rented a car and like drove up into the mountains and whatever. And it was kind of like a down and dirty. Like we had a little tent. We just crashed at the trailhead, like next to the rental car, like up on the mountain or whatever. And then the next day we just basically all day hiked it. It didn't take as long as we thought to get up there, but just like the round trip, we were like, basically we just hiked up, kind of scouted around, took some pictures, hung out, and then bailed. And we were on the mountain for like basically 11 hours of hiking that day.
And
But
Ryan is being modest. He's being modest. He showed me on OnX like where he is going and some of the pictures. He's going in some nasty, gnarly shit. Like,
it wasn't good.
This was a place where I'd have like a quick heart attack if I tried to hike it. Like Ryan went through some shit.
I was pretty impressed at how well we both did for like, I mean, TJ he lives at a little bit higher elevation than here, but not like a lot. And like where we went to was high. Like I think the highest point we hiked to was like 11.3 or 11.5, but like we just flew out there, like spent the night at like, I don't know, like 9,000 feet, and then just decided to just like send it the next day, which I felt pretty good the whole time. And we weren't hiking with like much weight, but I was like, yeah, this might kick my ass really, really bad, or like maybe not. So luckily we didn't end up running into any issues or whatever, but it was beautiful out there. And we did get into a bunch of elk, which was cool. And it gets me fired up to like see them. I mean, it's like when they're on the summer range, it's not that hard to find them because they're just like all just chilling together. But we did see a handful of nice bulls. There was one herd we got in. We like actually kind of got close to that had like 5 bulls in there, and 2 of them were pretty good, and that got us all fired up. But I'm looking forward to getting back out there. But it was a good rip. It felt good to just get some miles under me and like.
Was it more of a trip? You go ahead.
I was gonna say this is a novice hunter question, but do you hear the cool like elk sounds this time of year, or is that only in the fall?
Well, they're not like bugling right now, but like if you get close to them, like the cows are chirping and stuff, and like
but you don't hear the like wicked shit that gets like people who don't hunt still hair standing up.
No, that the like rut time for elk is like mid September. It's kind of like when it goes down.
That's what I was asking, because I hear those videos and I'm like, oh,
yeah,
that's gangster.
Yeah, I don't hunt at all, but I'm like, I gotta hear that in real life at one point in my life.
Yeah, it is super cool. But yeah, in the summer you don't really hear that much. Like every once in a while you might hear like a pretty like wimpy, like they're not like aggressive, doing it. But it's cool because they're all still in velvet right now, and like their antlers grow really fast. So they're like, they're getting pretty close to pretty much full grown, but like they're fully in velvet, so like they look so sweet. So because you're like up at the top of the mountain, the like sun's shining on them, and they're just like all lit up. They're pretty sweet.
Do you feel like it was a trip that you could kind of take? I know it was a quick rip, but like a trip you could really like take in more, opposed to like maybe when you go out there and you hunt? Because I feel like when you hunt, you're like, you're tunnel visioned into put yourself in a position where you can get a shot and kill. But here you were just like, kind of like, let's check this land out. Let's sightsee. Let's take some pictures. Let's do some light scouting.
It's kind of like when you just go fun fishing, like there's no pressure. You're just like, you just do something because it's fun, or like you get, look at that over there. Let's go check that out. So it's like, I mean, there's little, like we were just BSing, chatting while we were like hiking and stuff, which I wouldn't normally be doing. Like if I was like trying to kill something,
That'd be cool.
Which was funny
that'd be a
because
cool trip.
because we were just bullshitting. We were just like walking, and we were kind of like, oh, when we get up, like there's a substantial portion of this hike where you have a 0% chance of seeing wildlife, and then there's like you get to the top, and then that's where everything lives. So this middle part was just like it's just like sheer canyon walls and stuff, and like nothing lives there. It's just like awful. And then you get to the top, and it kind of starts to open up, and all of a sudden everything's all tracked out. There's deer and elk tracks all over the place, and we got up there, and we were like, man, this is pretty sweet. And we were kind of looking for a camp spot and everything, and we're walking kind of below all these avalanche chutes, and we get to one, and I just like look up there, and I was like, oh, there looks like something up there. And I threw my binoculars up, and I was like, oh, it's a bull. And then I was like, there's another one. There's another one. And it ended up being a herd of like 30 elk.
Wow.
But we just like pretty much walked into the chute they were sitting in, and they were just like chilling. We got to like 125 yards on them because we were like, wow, let's go check them out. And it started raining, and then it started hailing. And then we were trying to like kind of hide under some trees so we didn't get like hailed on super hard. And then eventually that passed, and we got really close to these elk, and they were just chilling. And then eventually our wind switched, and they were pissed, and they all ran away. But no, it was fun getting out there. Like I said, it gets me fired up for like the season, and I do like I'm gonna get a bull tag for that area this fall, and so yeah. But I don't know, man. It's coming quick, and like I was even like, man, I haven't been like shooting or anything. Like things are happening. I got to get rolling here, man.
I feel like this summer's gone very fast.
Super fast.
Yeah, it like wasn't, and now it's like ramping up. I don't know, but yeah, man, it's gonna be here quick, and like these cooler nights already got me all riled up. You know,
I know it's supposed to be kind of cool this weekend.
Yeah,
That's kind
Monday was. Did you guys get that? Like how cold it was on Monday?
Yeah.
I'm going up north tomorrow with the family for the week, and like it's supposed to be 65 the next 2 days. I'm like, what?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. That's good timing.
They're not pumped about it. And I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna go smallmouth fishing. They're gonna be chewing.
Yeah, it's gonna be sick. All right,
but I guess I don't know what we have on the agenda to go to next, but I just want to bring up because I'm sure we all watched it. But
Meat and potatoes.
bring it up.
Let's get into the meat and potatoes.
Bring it up.
Who saw the Wiebe video?
Oh yeah, baby. Pot stirred.
Did you watch it, Hahner?
I watched the first like 10 minutes of it before the podcast, and I got a pretty good gist of it.
Yeah, you got a gist.
Oh, it gets better and better and better.
Oh, it is.
Oh, dude,
Electric.
it gets good. Wow.
First of all, we've had Wiebe on, and I'm sure we'll have him on again. He's a good friend, but I want to give that man props for that video. Being a video editor, Sobi, I'm sure you can attest to 30 days to 60 days probably of gathering that footage and putting it together.
Dude. It's amazing.
Like
it was a bravo. It was a masterpiece. It was an 11 out of a 10. The amount of stitching he did, the amount of just space he filled with his head to put that together and to make all sense, and to just reference back to these clips, like to acquire all these clips.
It with a walleye kayak video.
Yes, but like to acquire all these clips and know that they were there and to find them would take an immense amount of time.
And then to stitch them together coherently.
Yeah.
Because it's from like 10 to 20 different YouTube channels. It's not one YouTube channel.
And some of these are from 10 to 20 years ago.
This would be like the beautiful work of a 30 for 30 that a whole team of editors would do in a docu-series about, a sports icon or something in sports, and a whole team would put this together, and they would, almost break this down and write this out. And the way he did it was so beautiful. If you guys haven't checked out Uncut Angling yet, or Aaron's video, you should. But basically the whole premise of this is kind of highlighting the hypocrisy that is happening in the fishing industry with the forward-facing sonar movement, the negativity behind it, the positivity behind it, the guys in the industry, in different areas of the industry, all talking about the subject, and then highlighting some folks that were super negative on it, super positive, and then everything in between, and then intertwining it together without him really giving his opinion at all. If that's not a good summary of it, I don't know what is, but that's
he showcased what everyone else has said and the hypocrisy and the views everybody has without himself giving a statement other than, I saw someone comment, and I remember seeing it in a Wiebe video one day, and it's basically the statement of, I'm for technology advancements that help fishing.
Right.
Or just along those lines. Basically, what in here, that's not a direct quote because I know Aaron will clip me, so don't clip me, Aaron.
Well, put it this way. Like, I think it's
something along there of like, he's just showcasing this is what's going on.
Yeah. And like, I would say all of us collectively are like probably on the same page as far as like being supportive of like technology and stuff in the sport. But like that, just the way that this was put together, like you said, was like cool. I mean, it was like also a little concerning when you start seeing some.
I thought it was almost concerning and eye-opening too. It was very cool, but it's like, holy shit,
I mean, like I'm saying, the production itself is very cool, very well done. And then like initially you're kind of like, oh, this is going to be kind of like a very slanted, like how it's, you know, kind of seems at the beginning. And then you start rolling through it and seeing like how it's stacking up and like how many like very like respected people in the sport are kind of showing these very like contradictory opinions, even though it's the same person, like saying it one time and then hearing about it at a later date and completely different, you know. And I mean, maybe that's something most people should know or whatever, but I without having watched someone actually like put it together in that way, I probably would have never thought about it like that. But it is like you start thinking about how much negativity is just not even just surrounding forward facing, but just in fishing the outdoor industry in general, you know,
and just like so much hypocrisy. Hahner, what's your take on this? Because you're a guy, you've been to you fished the FLW. You know a lot of these folks in the upper echelon of tournament angling. It was concerning for me, and I don't know. I want to ask a lot of different people what they thought of it.
I think I've heard a lot of opinions about like professional fishing from people outside of the industry when I would tell them what I was doing, and I think actually it was my mother who said a statement that was the realest thing I probably heard, and I've like brought that back into my thinking with the fishing industry in whole. And she's like, so they're doing what? They're changing what rule? And I'm like, well, they're changing this and this for the rest of the year. She's like, this is professional? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, what sort of willy-nilly like series are you fishing? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. And I always thought, I'm like, there's two sides to every coin, right? But I still think fishing has a long way to go. It's like a bunch of it's like in its teenage years compared to a lot of sports, and it has a lot of growing up to do and figuring out to, mature. Like I always thought, if you're a professional angler, you should at least have a card, like a pro card that shows that you are in the upper echelon, like a golfer or something like that.
No doubt.
But I think there's so many niches, and I think there's just so much controversy around fishing, and there's so much gossip that goes on that no side can actually win and like go to the goal that they ultimately want. And what they need is by branching out of, the outdoor industry and getting the sponsors, which they had, like, the Chevys, the National Guard, to actually grow the sport rather than have, this small pot of people who are just fighting each other and not growing it. And like, do you remember that Milliken video where where he breaks down what's happening with the corporate.
Yeah.
I
That
mean,
was super interesting.
to a T,
To a T.
100% to a T. Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. And the majority of people don't realize that's happening. And so the sport's never growing. The people who actually care about it are just going to be stuck in the same spot for, forever if you don't collectively come together and try to grow it.
Yeah. And I mean, I thought like specifically from this video though, like granted, a lot of it is very slanted towards being like, okay, like here's the controversial, contradictory opinions people are putting out there, negative light they're putting on forward-facing sonar in particular. But like the part that I thought was like, I kind of got a kick out of it or whatever, is where they're showing like some of these longtime pros, and then they're showing like what they looked like at the beginning of their career, like how they're talking like, shit about guys like Trey McKinney, right? And like how they're doing so good, and like nobody knows who these guys are, all this stuff, and then they're showing their like breakout career win.
And Parker just
when they're like 18.
One of the rising stars at 22.
Yeah, Kevin Van Dam.
Yeah, like that to me was like that was like
where he was like, no 24-year-old has ever done this, and then it goes, Kevin Van Dam, a 24-year-old out here winning on the tour.
One of our rising stars dominating the league, and the announcer's yelling that, and I'm just like, oh man, swoosh.
Or like the ones with Ike, where it's like, these are the guys that are like making some of the most noise about it, which obviously that's why this video is crafted in that way. But I was like, damn, that was good.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. And like,
yeah, I don't know.
Well, and I think like the reason I brought it up is I know here on the pod and stuff, we don't necessarily dive into this sort of thing too often just because we're trying to have fun and that's what we're about here. But I do think it's important to talk about in the sense of like the way Aaron did it, where it's like, okay, this is a thing that's getting brought up and we don't want to talk about what's going on negatively. Example, Randy. What he does all the time, but more of talking about it in the sense of like Aaron brings up a lot of valid points of like, why are people not talking about the positivity? Like Aaron and I'd say Jay Siemens does a great job of it as well. Milliken and some other YouTubers saying like how much you can learn from forward-facing technology, how much it's advancing the sport, how much we're all learning is such a big thing. And a lot of the negativity comes down to like, I remember earlier this year when I went on my rant saying like a lot of people are pissed off because they're now learning they're going to lose their jobs. That's kind of what it is. Yeah. And you're seeing it now happening, but it started to quiet down.
Yeah.
Because guys are like, oh, okay. Like they're realizing these guys are super, super, super good. Like your Alec Morrisons, your Drew Gills, your Jake Lawrences, like stuff like that, dude, they're unbelievable.
Yeah.
Right. And not just at that. Like they're just good.
And it was
those
go.
I was gonna say like it for professional fishing, for like the last 15 years, like those guys have sat at idle, like sitting in a recliner just soaking up their royalties, like those guys who haven't done a thing in how many years, and finally a shakeup happens to like get guys moving again,
and they're like, shut it down.
I was comfy.
I've been this good for this long. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
we better keep it that way.
Yeah.
Dude, the thing that gets me going is like all these guys for my whole life, all I've been told is time on the water, time on the water, time on the water. That's how you learn. So these guys like Alec Morrison, Drew Gill, Jake Lawrence, Easton Fothergill, you name it, these young kids, they're like, okay, time on the water.
Deal.
So they go spend time on the water.
We'll do it.
And then they're like, holy shit, this LiveScope thing's pretty fucking good. I'm going to get really good at knowing my time on the water with this because LiveScope is an efficiency tool
Yeah.
That's what it is, flat out. You can tell where bait is, where
Yeah.
fish are, how they're reacting, how to do everything. They learn that to a master's degree. And now everyone's like, no, they're cheating. And they're like, no, I'm spending every day on the water while everyone else is out deer hunting or doing whatever. They're like, I want to be the best angler in the world. And guess what? They are.
This is how you do
Literally.
it.
And they literally are spending more time on the water than these other pros, you know.
Yeah.
Like
Like,
think,
I don't-
I mean, the
it's-
multiplier of knowledge, like that,
Oh, yeah.
that tool is giving people. I mean, they're already caught up. They surpassed those old guys.
But the other thing is, like, I don't get, and it's like people, they got all the hate and all that, but it's like, dude, there's no way anyone who enjoys fishing could go out with some sort of forward-facing sonar, have a good day on the water, and be like, I hate that.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Right.
Like, if you
Right.
use it and we're successful, you're like, this is dope.
Okay, so I will contradict that. I know plenty of musky anglers now who have been so successful with it that they're like, man, I just missed the excitement of not knowing when I'm gonna get a bite.
Yeah.
I
Definitely see
miss
in the
that.
musky world.
I miss that part of musky fishing, being surprised, because that's like a big part of the musky fishing thing, you know.
Okay.
I
That
think it is
adrenaline.
industry specific too, because I can see that on the musky side.
Yeah,
For sure.
Like-
sure.
yeah. One of my buddies, Nate, he just blows tournaments away. Like, as like more winnings, probably double the winnings of the nearest person, and he'll go up to northern Wisconsin and catch 8 to 10 a weekend, where we used to grind and catch 3, but they're good ones. Now he catches 10, and it's like, honestly, I'd rather go up to the weeds and try and catch 2. That sounds more fun. And I'm like,
Damn.
yeah, to each their own.
But I will also say you have that option now.
Right.
Because, like,
Right.
for example, like my last bass tournament on Gull, right? There was a scoping bite going on, and you could do it. But I was like, I'm not going to scope. Like, I'm going to go flip grass because I think that's how I can win. And you still get that. And there's times where that thing's going on. But I learned that bite was going on because of watching fish react to baits coming out of weeds.
Mm-hmm.
That I was like, hey, they don't want to do this. Like, that's just not right. And it's an information tool. It's what it is.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Pink, I feel like, and Sobi, you too, in the ice fishing realm, I think we could say we're probably kind of on the front edge of that for a while. And now other people are starting to see it and catch up. Like, we've gotten to have some really good days.
Oh,
And there's other people kind of getting to see it and kind of go do it and stuff too. But there's such a learning curve and a mastery to go do it that I don't feel like I'm anywhere near. But man, it's fun. Like, when you get out there and you go, oh my God, they're going to bite. Like, it's right. It's just legit.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know
it's
that.
kind of its own game in a way, but it's like, I mean, yeah, there's days when it's like kind of that it's not that fun because you're just looking at fish all day and, you know, not getting them to bite or whatever. But then there's days when it's really sick and like I wouldn't
Yeah.
want to do anything else, you know?
It's,
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
It's kind of weird too because like I don't know, like we also come from a place like living in the Midwest or upper Midwest where like at least our bass and fish in general aren't like completely dominated by bait chasing. You know what I mean? Like we have fish that are spot located or, you know, cover
Structure
located.
located.
And that's so different opposed to like down south where like dude, these are reservoirs and these fish live to kill these massive amounts of bait balls that live in there. That's what they do. And they still act like bass, so they'll still pull up on a dock or pull up on some logs or weeds or points and do that. But like a mass majority of these fish are like, you know, bait chasers where like in our realm of the world, like they're just, maybe they are more than we think, but like they're like not. So we get a beautiful in-between area where we can kind of do both. So I don't know if these
But it's
folks
still
from-
it's still fun to just observe fish, though, whether
No
it's
doubt,
like a
no
dominant technique or not. Like, if you enjoy fishing and just like that aspect of the sport, like just like an underwater camera, it's like, yeah, is catching 8-inch bluegills on an underwater camera like the funnest thing in the world? No, but it's pretty fun to watch them eat your jig every time. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like getting to see that. And this is like another way to like interact with the sport and like see it and be like, that's cool or whatever. Like, I mean, Bart, like when we went to Maine, dude, I swear some of the coolest parts of that trip were just watching stuff happen on the on that live.
I think
we
the
weren't
coolest
even
thing we
fishing.
saw was crappies blowing up alewives.
Like,
We never even caught one.
no,
we
just
just
like
watched
watching
it
it
happen.
happen was like, that was
It
crazy.
was like, wow.
Yeah, like I
Damn.
would have never seen anything like that or like knew that that was even a thing. So, I mean, I don't know. I just don't see how you could use it and not think it's like at least entertaining, you know?
Yeah, and bringing it back to like Aaron's video, that I think, I guess one of my biggest things that has grinded my gears, I will say, the last year or two is the negative connotations that have come out of LiveScope or using forward-facing sonar, whatever it is, the term spotlighting or whatever it is, using it in a negative connotation. Like they're just doing this. They're just spotlighting. They're not real fishermen. It's like, dude, here's the thing. Fishing's great because if you want to go skip docks and flip reeds and do flip lily pads all day, you can.
Yeah.
And you can do really good.
and now
like,
there's less people doing it.
Like look at the Champions Tour. Kevin Fassbin, he does not fish deeper than 4 feet. Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. He never will. And he's in the top 10 of every Champions Tour event ever.
Yeah.
Because he is so good shallow.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? That's how he loves to fish.
Yeah.
So if
And that's
you love
fine.
to do that, that's cool. And
Or-
guess what Kevin also never does? He never looks at anybody and goes, oh, they suck because they're spotlighting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like,
but the other
and
thing,
that-
like you're saying, that negative connotation between like using forward-facing sonar and then like correlating that to like that's why these young guys, we have to hate them, is because this is like
yeah,
a
like
technique
where do
we're
we
good at.
have to hate them come from?
Yeah, that is
I don't
weird.
know.
That is
It is
super weird
bad.
because also like there's super good dock fishermen out there that literally like that's what they do. They fish docks, almost like a Jeff Bozart in the Champions Tour. He fishes docks, and that dude does so damn well. But also that's broke his heart at times. I know so many people who are great at FFS. They were on a scoping bite. They were straight bait chasing. A lot of those guys didn't make the top 20, didn't make the top 30, didn't make the top 40. They got spanked because those can also be super pelagic fish. You can get spanked doing it, finding areas that aren't exactly super productive when you go back to them. Can you have a hell of a day? Hell yeah. If you find the bait and you find the fish and you can put it all together in that moment, hell yeah.
But you can have a hell of a day on any technique.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right?
You
But it
know?
can also break your heart. So, like,
Yeah.
people don't talk about, like, also, there's all these people who are on scoping bites that it freaking broke their heart. Like, nobody ever talks about, they only say, they put that thing in the water and they freaking won. Well, shit, yeah.
Because they were good at it.
Yeah, they're good at it. And also, like, their spot, it went down for them that day. Like, I
Yeah.
have weed lines and bluff walls and shit that it was going down when I was there. It didn't exactly go down when I was there. Or maybe my plan C or D kind of went down. Maybe their planner C or D kind of went down, or their areas where they found a majority of the bait. Like nobody talks about, they only talk about what they want to
Dude,
talk about.
I wish one of these old timers would win a tournament scoping.
Well, dude, Keith, like, I think a prime example is Keith Carson just won the St. Clair event, FLW. Scoping. He was a non-scoper, shallow dude forever. And he said he put forward facing on his boat a month before St. Clair, and he went out and won St. Clair.
Dang,
And he straight up said, holy cow, is that a cool tool? It was awesome. I went and I dedicated to it, and I said I was going to do it, and he won.
Wow.
And there's just certain situations where that's a deal. But like I said, just with the Wiebe thing, and I just don't get where the negative spotlighting, whatever connotation came from. I mean, I do. It came from Randy, and I'm
Well, I think it was
Straight
more
up
a
say that.
factor of
and
that
I think
there
it's
was
just
more.
terrible.
I there was more
put
young
any
guys.
negative
getting good.
connotation towards a fisherman unless it's cheating. Like if you're cheating, legitimately cheating in the rules, you are putting weights in fish, you are putting fish in a cage, you are doing whatever.
Yeah.
Nobody's cheating. So stop making it a negative connotation. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's been made into this thing that is not it.
No. And I think that, like I was just saying, I think that spurred more from the success of some of the younger guys, not because of the technique in itself.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like the out to be like, wow, they're just winning, and they were winning on that type of technique, but that didn't mean there was anything wrong with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's perfectly linked up with like if you look at bass fishing right now, for example, because that's where a lot of this comes from right now. A lot of it's in the walleye world too. You just haven't seen it yet because like Hoyer and Dewey are winning a ton of stuff, but you got your Walleye Wills and Hunter Nitty and Owen Wilcox and these younger guys coming up who are starting to give them a run for their money. But in the bass world, the young guys are starting to win. And I guess what you're seeing is this perfect, like, where this crosshairs basically where it happened of all these old guys taught these young guys how to catch bass. And then these young guys learned this LiveScope at the same time, using those techniques and morph them together. And now they're beating them doing it. You get what I mean? So
yeah,
like,
and they aren't keeping up with the new stuff.
Yeah, so they did what they were taught, and now the age is going down. And you can see it across every pro tournament industry right now, dude. The age is going down. It's
but that's
going down
in every pro sport gets like that.
And it's because young people now have the accessibility to do it.
Yeah. Or to just get better and better and better.
They have the time to go spend time on the water. Like I was listening to, I don't know if you guys listened to it or not. Mercer had Milliken on last week, and they were talking about the whole bass fishing and the pre-practice and everything. And I thought the best thing they talked about was how there's no pre-practice limits right now. And I think that's a bigger thing to talk about than forward-facing sonar, in the sense of, like, bro, when I was 23 to 25, had nothing going on, Hahner, you're the same way. We could have just fished for 200 days on whatever lake we wanted to, just mulled around the country, done whatever. And that's what those guys are doing, plus add in their knowledge of technology and everything. So then when they get back there, they just dust dudes.
And I really think a lot has to do with like online videos and content that these pros have shown us, and like a YouTubers like a Milliken or stuff like that. Like, dude, I remember being
Sobi?
No, but I remember being
no, probably not that.
no. But I remember being like, but even like as far as the basics go, like I'm thinking about, maybe a little. Not like a Milliken or something where then he's showing with the FFS, but like I remember being like young and like learning to bass fish, like because my dad didn't bass fish or anything like that, but like being young and like being in a tin boat and like never catching fish ever, never catching bass, and throwing like daredevils and throwing like jointed Raplas and just throwing.
So do you remember when we
Raplas.
figured out a French fry?
Yeah, exactly. But like, imagine being like 12 years old now, and then you see 500 videos of people catching bass with a wacky rig Cinco, and you're like, oh, boom, I just got 2 and 2 together. I just figured out, boom, one pattern. Then you see them all catch them on jigs. Then you see them all catch them how they crank. Then you see how they do this. Then you see how they work a jerkbait. Then you see this. And then imagine being like older, like 16, 17, 18, and watching that breakdown and the great live coverage now. Like, dude, you can learn so much. Imagine, like, when we came up and through the college ranks, like, we weren't even watching YouTube. I remember being in college, and it wasn't until I was like a sophomore till I seriously was like, I had seen YouTube or really stuff like that. That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
What if someone told me when I was 12, throw a freaking Cinco? You could catch bass, maybe more than one today. maybe 2, maybe
Yeah,
12.
dude, instead of us finding one video of how to figure out how to catch bass, I can find 500
right now
Yeah,
on that
yeah,
specific potentially region or even
and
that
just
body of water.
learn it.
Yeah.
And I get there and I'm like, I know exactly what I'm looking for right now.
At least what to throw, some of the basics, and then you can put your knowledge behind that into that, or then you can put time on the water with that. Like imagine going to Florida and never not knowing about a speed worm. But now I've seen tons of techniques on speed worms. I know what to throw. I know the weights. I know the worms. I know the colors. And boom, I go to Florida and I already have that tied on. Holy smokes. You have just closed the gap this much more. And then you can
So
put
now
all
the gap, basically now the gap isn't, the gap before was basically no knowledge, going to a place, just blank slate. Now it's everyone has a knowledge. Who's the best fisherman?
Yeah.
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 But
And
like
that's where like
the other
as much as
aspect,
I don't want to say it, like the old dudes, sorry if I'm saying it, might not have the best fishermen up there. We might have had the guys with the best knowledge.
true.
And now we're starting to get filtering of dudes who are the best fishermen, and like being a guy who went and fished some of the opens against some of those guys. Dude, those guys are fucking scary because they are so good. Like
They're
we
all
talk
good.
about Jay Shakirat on here a bunch. There's 20 Jay Shakirats in the opens.
Yeah.
20 of them. And they're all going to be in the Elite Series soon.
Yeah.
And
But
that
the
sport
aspect
is gonna
part
go
of these old guys though, the other thing you got to think about is like once all that information sharing became so prevalent with like social media, YouTube, the whole thing, it's like these guys that are making the most noise about how this is all just such BS are the guys that took their lifetime of knowledge and made it very easy for everyone to find.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like you put that out there for everyone to see, and now everyone's like, you know what? That's a good idea. And now you're like, no, you can't use that against me now.
Pink, it would be like say next year everyone catches 16 to 18-inch crappies, and we're like, nope, this is fake news.
BS. They're all cheating.
And we're like, fuck, we taught everyone how to do it. Shit. They listened. No way.
Yeah. Well, I'm just like, that's crazy, man.
Yeah. It's the same thing. Like, yeah, I just thought, I guess I wanted to bring it up because I thought Aaron's video was so well put together on the contradictory nature of the fishing industry right now.
Yeah.
And instead of being negative, like we've said, there's a handful of negative channels out there, and namely everyone knows it's Randy Blockett's channel, is just avoid that and go to the positivity, because there's so much positivity going on in the industry that is getting masked so badly by some people who should not have.
They're making a lot of noise.
I think we should list some. What are some positive things going on in the fishing industry right now that aren't talked about?
Anything Wiebe does.
Okay.
No, what are some straight up, like what are some positive things in the fishing industry right now?
I think there's a lot of young people getting into the sport right now, which is
I would say high school fishing in general.
Yeah, I think that's great. And like you don't see it highlighted a lot, and not just in tournaments, just in general, like recreational fishing. Like the more time that I've been out, I see more and more young kids buying stuff, wearing. Just you go out to anywhere, and there's a lot of kids wearing like fishing stuff. You know,
like it's not fugazi.
It's kind of like fishing's cool again for like younger kids. I think.
Yeah.
Sobi, how many more people we seeing show up to weigh-ins these days?
Yeah, a ton, and like even like
people coming and just interacting with the sport.
And
we had 50 people at a Tuesday nighter weigh-in the other night.
We did. We had like 50 people there. It was nuts. And
like it was crazy.
So many different things. Like we don't even go in public that much, but like when we're out in public, like Steph and I will go to some local town baseball games, you know, to watch some of our buddies compete. And like there'll be young gals that will walk up to Steph and they'll go, I'm on this fishing team, I'm a freshman, blah, 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 different stuff like that. I got a tournament out here and this. And I'm like, that's nuts, dude. That's crazy. And then another a young fellow will come up or whatever, this stuff like that, and they're just hyped on it. I caught one on a frog here. I caught this on a frog. There's just so many, there's so many different young people that are fired up to fish, and whether they continue to tournament fish or just continue to like it all, they're going to have a baseline knowledge to make them a better angler, and they're now at least like they enjoy the sport more because they got involved in it probably when they were 15 or a freshman in high school. And they might not have had a parent that ever fished before, but they got around some other folks that fished, and maybe they got a boat captain and brought them out. Like, they may never tournament fish past 17 years old, 18 years old.
Or at all.
But, but they learned how to fish better at 15, 16, 17 than we probably ever learned how to fish. And that knowledge base will, probably carry over to where they're just going to become an awesome recreational angler and at least enjoy the sport and continue to be a consumer of this industry that we all love and kind of operate in. So it's all good. Like, it's
really
so
we think of this, like when we were in high school, you're looking for someone to go fishing with. Like, I had you.
Yeah. Yep.
And Brock. And that's
that's it. Nobody else fish.
We had no one else around. Now there's kids in high school. They're like, well, I kind of like to fish. And there's 10 other people around that are like, well, I kind of like to. Should we go fishing? Yeah. And there's more and more people getting into it because of all this stuff getting out there. They see it on YouTube. They see it everywhere. So the positivity is a sense of everybody getting this access to seeing it and getting into it because it's good.
Yeah.
And we want to see everybody getting into it and enjoying it more, not getting yelled at for trying to learn more.
Understanding some of the basics at such a young age and like the proper basics, God, it would just carry over so far to some success. Like Adam and I literally learned about the drop shot, got on the drop shot when we were 16.
We're throwing on a fucking heavy flip.
We're throwing it on bait casters, ugly sticks, 20-pound mono or fluorocarbon with EWG hooks and still finesse baits, but an EWG hook wacky rig with like fat lead weights. But we also
we still won.
We did win on stuff like that. We won heavy, but also like that was like what we could put together from literally like a couple articles out of a magazine and what we had heard through the grapevine of all these old folks that honestly don't ever tell us shit anyways. So it's that's what we could put together. But now literally it's like, if you wanted to learn how to throw a drop shot, a basic drop shot, a 16-year-old could figure that out in under 10 minutes right now, right here. And they could type a drop shot as good as I basically do. Like, boom, done. They got it. Like that's gangster. But I don't know.
Well, and that's just the tournament side. Like, because that's the thing. Like, a lot of these controversial things and just like the discussions that are happening revolve more around tournaments. It's like, dude, there's a lot of people that fish that have never and will never fish tournament and just like to fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this doesn't affect them at all. You know what I mean?
It's such a minor thing that's making such a major negative wave.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, shut up. There's so many people who like fishing.
And like you guys were just at iCast. It's like how much cool shit came out there that's like either revolves around forward facing or like new products that kind of work together with it.
Oh,
like,
dude, like
building like this whole other side of the market.
Like Pink, I'll flat out say, I mean, so people know Sobi and I work for Humminbird. Like, we do a bunch of stuff, but like we can both say flat out, cool as shit. Lawrence came out with a forward-facing unit that's $1,000.
Yeah, like a budget
like that's
unit.
So cool for people to introductory level be able to get into it, and that came out from iCast. And I'm sure Humminbird, Garmin, other people will be coming out with something like that. But to give that accessibility, that's so cool. And then you have all these new baits, all this stuff going on, and just people being able to learn. It's so cool being down there and seeing that. Like, yeah, there's so many good things happening right now in a not great economy, but great things happening right now that people can go do it and learn from it. Like,
when I think it draws people in too, like maybe there's people that maybe they haven't had a lot of success fishing, and to them, they feel like this is a way for them to have success.
For sure.
And it probably will help them if they learn how to use it or whatever. And it's like, dude, that's huge.
And also one thing I think that's not talked about with FFS is like a lot of videos online or what you see portrayed, especially deep, clear lakes or clear, deep reservoirs that are chasing bait. Like these people are putting their bait on the fish. And a lot of times for these smaller natural lakes, like sometimes it can just help you find an area that has fish in it, or find an area that has taller weeds, or find an area that's just a little bit more productive. Sometimes FFS isn't always best utilized to just like put your bait on the fish. That's like what you're shown. But I think how a lot of people will use it in the future when more people know how to use it even a little bit more, or just it's more mainstream than it is now, is like people will be able to put themselves in areas of the lake that have the most activity. And that'll just in general bring up success. They won't all put a bait right on a fish's nose like Dustin Connell or Jacob Wheeler, but they'll at least find an area that it's like, there's dots all around me. Let's anchor here. Let's fish here. Like
around life.
Let's try this. Exactly. Yeah. You're not in the abyss. Like,
well, dude, for example, like I never knew, for example, because we're just bass fishing or whatever our whole lives. We're going down the weed edges on Gull. And I'm talking to Hayden. And I'm like, bro, I keep seeing these blobs of 5 to 10 fish everywhere. And I have no fucking idea what they are. Because they won't bite. But they chase my bait everywhere and do all these things. They got to be walleyes or smallmouth. And I don't know what they are. All of a sudden, Hayden's like, screw it. I'm dropping my camera down. And he looks. There's suckers. There's suckers everywhere. There's suckers all over the goddamn lake. And I would have never known that. Like, I just all of a sudden, I'm like, oh my God, there's 10 million suckers in Gull Lake. And I never knew it.
that's crazy.
They're all suckers. All of them.
Yeah. But it is crazy, like what you said. And I mean, I use it just for like seeing what's coming up, you know? Like it almost is like a tool just for that, where you're just trolling, motoring around and you're just like, oh, there's a weed edge coming, or like I'm coming up on this hump and it's 70 feet away. Yeah. Oh, I'll stay back so I don't drift up on it or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like that's not even looking at fish.
Structure fishing.
You know? But yeah. No,
what did you guys think about the whole hydrowave section of it? Cody might have not made it to this. But what were your guys' thoughts on that? That's super interesting because there's all these.
Hahner, you didn't get to this part of the video. Basically, there's a 3-minute section in the video where they get to, and he puts in clips of everyone saying, I would never go fishing without my hydrowave running. And just everything about how it gets a bait going. And the whole deal.
My God.
This is like how they can manipulate fish with it. And this is like the biggest game changer.
This is almost a whole other section that we're about to probably potentially jump into, is like in Wiebe's video, he goes into about these guys talking about how they would never manipulate the fish with technology. And then all these guys talking at ICAST talking about, it's literally manipulating the shad to start busting.
I've seen shad start spawning because
of this. I would put it on the trailer if I didn't have my hydrowave and all this stuff. And literally, I'm talking so many dudes pimping out this hydrowave, talking about how it's manipulating the fishing. It makes fishing easier because of technology. And all that they're saying, all this, and these are the same guys that are like, dude, for technology to make fishing easier, it's just like, how do you even look yourself in the mirror? It was nuts. And he stitches this all back and forth, and it was
just the thought that through, or how he thought that through was just really awesome. Because then you watch it back and you're like, oh my God, this is bad.
And it's just, it's also, I don't know. He brought up I feel like there was also an underlining thing in there where he brought up how and some other guys in podcasts, how is this even a sport anymore? Or is it one big giant marketing game? And that one stuck with me, and I thought it was really interesting. Yeah, because you don't see Ant-Man from the Timberwolves and all these different guys who are just like pimping everything and their brother out and talking this year, this that year, different boat this year, different whatever. It's like, is it even a sport anymore? Is it just one big giant marketing game? And it just really,
dude, just like Sobi, think of this, and I mean, I feel like I have these conversations when I talk to companies, but who do you buy stuff from the most? Who use it? Like, I think of for example, Alec Morrison or some of these guys who smash them. and they never really put out videos of baits or certain things.
Yeah.
And they're smashing them. And I go deep diving, and I'm like, well, he's a Rain sponsored guy, and it looks like this worm. And okay, it must be good, so I'm gonna buy some of them. Like, not someone who's looking at me being like, this, whatever brand this does this, and this is why I buy it. Like, it's the same thing. Like, you look at other sports, like you said, like with Ant Edwards or whatever, they're using their shoes for basketball or whatever. You're getting it because it fits you and it's what you want. I educatedly make the decision.
Yeah.
And this industry for like the last 5 to 8 years, maybe more, but I feel like recently has gotten so sales pitchy.
Yeah.
It's bad.
It's bad. Maybe it'll come out of it, but like even just like modern day marketing, back in the early 90s, they would use Michael Jordan and they'd have him drink a Coke and play basketball. And him drinking the Coke playing basketball was enough. And it did get it in front of people's eyes. But he didn't talk about each ingredient that was inside the Coke and all the caffeine and milligrams in the Coke. But like, think about fishing. You take a Michael Jordan fishing and he's going to be like, inside a Coca-Cola there's 300 milligrams of sugar and 400, you know what I mean? Like it would never happen, right? Like it's just, it's interesting how the fishing industry markets opposed to other industries and still like kind of how far behind we are yet. It's a big marketing game. It's very weird. It's weird.
I would agree. I think that's a very underlying tone of his video that I think is very eye-opening.
Yeah.
And I mean, from no,
and it almost makes you think like a lot of the problems, quotes, that are like arising in the drama is more associated to how things are being marketed than it is to how things are actually happening out on the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Cody, what are your thoughts on some of this?
I mean, just being now kind of watching from a distance, I like the direction of the young guys where, like we've been talking about, they fish quietly almost, and it's that their skill is coming through more than their ability to market themselves and sell. I really appreciate that. I think, but however, I think the guys that are struggling or maybe have taken that route, it has become so like watered down. As soon as I hear certain buzzwords in a video, I'm like, oh, next. Like, I don't even think of that product. I don't even want that product. Like, because, on the water, I could take a fluke, throw another fluke by it, and catch the same fish or catch the same amount of fish on the same day. Doesn't matter what Aztec or Elastec. It, like, a lot of times it doesn't really even pertain. But
yeah,
the sales pitch has just gotten so watered down and annoying in the outdoor industry. Like, where is the type of marketing where we can just associate a person and the product, like a Michael Jordan with a can of Coke? Like, why can't that be enough anymore? Where a person like Wiebe, who's an interesting character that puts these amazing videos out and gets the message across so well, so creatively, that like you get it as soon as you see it. But companies have to like break every single detail down for you. Like, we are, like, how stupid do you think we are? We don't think we can do a little bit of research or like come up with a better way, a better scheme?
Yeah.
Like, it's just becoming, I don't know.
Well, Sobi, is it some level to, I want to say this correctly. Is it some level of, I guess, everybody's trying to be a creator, but they don't know how to be? So they're going to the watered down sales pitches when there's a handful of people out who are like Wiebe, who can sell on that level. And the companies aren't interested in it because they're just like, no, I want you to tell them exactly what this is. You get what I'm saying, Sobi?
Yeah, kind
Like,
of. It's
like
it,
I mean, we've talked about this off air, and I guess this is on air somewhat now, but like there is a thing where it's like with that is people are going to buy stuff because you're using it if you associate yourself correctly.
Right. But that's also like, dude, you got to think about, like you said before, like you've found products just because you were like, I just want to know what that is.
Mhm.
People are right now, people are the best at researching stuff that they've ever been.
Right.
no doubt.
Like,
And
you can put out a video, people are going to know exactly what lake you're on, even if you don't say it. You could put out a video where we blur out baits. People are just going to want that because they'll figure out what it is, even if you never tell them. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, why are we going to this like rudimentary, like just driving home all this dumb stuff when it's like you could literally put half of a like half of a bait like this in a video and people are gonna be like, I want that.
Yes.
Even if
Or
you
I'll
don't say
find
what
it,
it is.
or I'll find it. I'll at least
I'll
figure out
find
what
it.
it is.
I'll
Like,
find
they're
that. Yeah.
good.
In like 20 seconds.
Yeah, Pink, what was that?
You'll find it.
You'll find
Yeah.
it.
I guess I've been a part of like both sides of the coin, like really creative marketing teams and really like boring, you know, this is this detail. I want this detail hammer, this detail, this detail, this detail, this detail. And which one seems to be working better? The creative side. Like hands down, far and away, this is creating noise. This is just, it's not creating any buzz. Like it's not cool. It's not cool. I want fad and creative and exciting. Like tell me just a little bit so it piques my curiosity. I don't want to know all of it. What's the fun in that? Like give me a little, I don't know, give me some razzle dazzle, but don't tell me too much.
Yeah.
Tease me with it.
True. It's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
I completely agree, Hahner. And there's certain level to figuring it out yourself as well. Like, I mean, scoping minnows, for example. Like, I know some guys post about what they do. I don't, because
I wouldn't.
I bought $1,000 of scoping minnows and put them on jig heads and looked at them on forward facing and went, I like this one and not any of these others.
Yeah.
And they might not even be popular. And I'm like, I'm not going to say it.
No,
because
why would you?
everyone's buying these ones.
You already got the
ones.
scoping.
Maybe those ones are good, but I don't know. I like these ones. So whatever. Like, don't care.
Yeah. Fishing's just a weird business, man. Like, because what kills me is like when you see all these videos. If you look in the comments of a lot of them, not like videos that you would watch to like learn something about fishing, but like tournament videos and stuff. And a lot of the comments from people that are like not tournament anglers, or people are like, "Why do you got to dress up like a NASCAR driver to catch bass?"
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that, and it's like, yeah. I get it. Like it is crazy. You know,
and it's, if you even break it down farther than that, like it's kind of like an oxymoron in general to think of like the whole concept of like fishing. Would you catch it on your secret lure? You know what I mean? Or I'm not going to tell you where I was, where that. And then like the other side of fishing, more the industry side, is like, we want you to give every exact detail about this. So it's kind of like, I feel like
whether it's true or not, though.
Yeah, but whether it's sales pitch or not, it's also like, really, you just smash them. You're going to tell me exactly everything you did down at what? I don't know. It's almost like an oxymoron.
Sobi, for example, the best marketing in the world, bar none, is when someone in the Bass top 10 photo gallery shows what they're catching them on, and then people see them fishing. And they go, that's not it. And they want to figure it out what it is. Whatever that bait is that gets out behind the scenes is sold out within
on Tackle Warehouse instantly.
Yeah.
Instantly.
Like for I don't know, like when
8 months.
I still don't know
Can't
for
find
a
'em.
fact what fighter caught him on St. Clair on a crankbait, but I think I figured out what crankbait it was. And I tell you what, that motherfucking crankbait was hard to find for about a year and a half. I have some now, but Jesus Christ, was it hard to find. And it wasn't a DT10.
No. No.
But no, I think we beat that whole conversation.
If you haven't seen this video, watch it. Because
Yeah, you need to watch this video.
whatever your
There's so
opinions
many
are,
things in the fishing industry that are so contradictory.
yeah.
And I guess we'll just take it in this Pass the Barb chat and what we do in the podcast. We'll always keep it real for everybody. We'll talk about it when we need to. We're going to leave some stuff to the side forever because it doesn't need to be addressed. We talked about it for a while, but I think Sobi, you can talk about Hahner. I think you would agree. The best content that comes out, Sobi, when we did the one, or when you've done Tourney Tuesday, those authentic series. Pink, when we've done the Chronicles. Hahner, when you and I did Chasing Ghosts. That's what people love.
Mm-hmm.
They want to see those stories.
Fishing.
And it's just proven.
Mhm.
They don't want to see sales pitches. So we're going to keep trying to do that. Right, boys?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure,
yeah.
dude.
All right, so now before we log off, do we want to talk about Champlain? Because we got to figure out who's going to lose and who's going to win.
Oh, do you have your lineup set?
Yeah, well, it starts tomorrow, so if you don't have it set, you better get it done, or you're gonna zero.
Let me take a quick peek. I do have mine set, and I'm ready for battle.
All right, and I think this is shaking up to be a basement battle, basically, between Bart and Sobi.
I know, I'm really not. What was the punishment decided?
Fishing.
Is it the Snoopy pole deal?
Yeah, and you're running out of derbs, so man,
I'm
that's gonna
fishing
be a
really
heavy one to
good right
fish
now. I
open with
can't
a
afford
Snoopy rod.
this. I can't afford this. I got to pay bills. You know,
Like
where
maybe,
I'm at,
like
Otter.
maybe you'll have to do like. Would you have to
No,
fish like
backward
leech?
up.
I got to pay bills.
Would you have to fish like leech then with Snoopy pole or what?
I'm not doing that
Hey,
one.
I'm sorry. I mean, the rules is the rules.
You know, we didn't say how important of a tournament it had to be. It
not
just had to
doing
be
that
the
one.
next one.
Well, then you better win.
I'll do lacrosse. I can catch them on a Snoopy pole in lacrosse. They're pretty
See,
tough.
he's just content with losing already. He's planning out which tournament he's going to do it.
No,
for. He's
I'm
like,
gonna
I'm
win.
out of this thing.
I'm going to beat Sobi, and I just want to see him film a video doing it. So
I brought in freaking secret weapons for this final lineup that I'm dropping. This is a hero or zero type lineup.
I kind of went that way as
I'm not
well. I knew I had to get Sobi, and I was like, I'm going to do some on board and some off. But all right, so for people who don't know, the Bassmaster Elite on Champlain will start tomorrow. It's probably today because we're releasing this pod.
4.5 hours. 4.5 hours is takeoff.
The guys are just getting up.
Probably in 2 hours, actually. It's 12:30 for people who don't know. We're trying to get this to you because we're all going on vacation or going to be MIA for the next 2
Matt
weeks.
Robertson's probably still at the bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Corey
are living it up.
Johnson.
Yeah. Corey's trying to win an AOY and he's drinking a lot of beer probably right now.
That's how he gets
All
his
right.
mind right.
So rolling into Champlain. Hahner, how's this going to fish in August? You've been there.
Yeah.
It seems like the largemouth might play a lot this year from what I've seen.
I've got a little hot tip going from a certain someone saying they're not finding nearly as many 4-pound smallmouth as they were last year.
Really?
That
Mhm.
sucked because I definitely picked him.
And I'm not going to name names, but they did really well last year, doing what I'm sure a lot of people are going to be doing.
Do you
I
know
think-
Japanese? Are you talking to Kyoya?
Unfortunately, not.
He's got the JDM on.
I would
speed
love to
dial.
talk to him.
We should get him on
Cody's
a podcast.
Cody's just
language
low
varies.
key
Do
slinging
Google
out texts and
Translate the
Snapchats to Kyoya. Like,
That's what I've been
Kyoya,
doing in
you
my free
catching
time.
on No More Disneyland?
Dude, when I saw Taku idling around at St. Clair's in the moment, I knew I was fucked. I never saw him cast. He was just driving around. I was like, this is bad. But all right, Champlain, Hahner, you think Ty's going to play or what?
I mean, I would have to hope so. Honestly, I've been waiting the last.
Have you been to Ty?
Yeah.
What's it like?
Awesome.
Tell us about it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, tell us,
Unbelievable.
people. Everyone thinks now Champlain is just scoping in the middle of nowhere. Ty is some far off Disneyland of nothing.
It basically is. I mean, it's like the very southern reaches of Champlain. I think by boat from the main launch, the one time I did it was like 76 miles or 82 miles.
You have to gas up down there then?
Yeah. Yep. But once you get there, I mean, if you have your spots like pretty well pegged, it's like a Minnesota or Wisconsin where you get on your school and you can, I mean, all you need is 30 minutes and you can come back with 20 plus pounds. But it's just getting down there, which is kind of the hit and miss part. I remember there's a tournament I fished down there. The first day I screwed up with my scale and I stopped a little early at like 19 pounds in an hour. So I'm like, I'm just going to go back. And I never upgraded again that day. And the next day it was rolling like the biggest waves I've ever driven in. And I had an old guy with me and we drove 76 miles in like legit fives all the way down there. And I think I got a total of like 50 minutes or an hour to fish and caught like 16 pounds. Should have had another 20-pound bag. I lost 2 5s in the waves, and then I drove all the way back up. But it's incredible, the amount of largemouth and what happens there at night. Like in practice, I saw 27 pounds, like nutty good. So it's just the wind that is a factor out there to get down there.
Good to know. All right, Pink, you want to rip through your lineup for Champlain?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I feel like I just kind of laid up. Figured I'd just play it safe. Just try to maintain. Jay Shakurat, Keoya, Jeff Gustafson, Carl, and Joey Cifuentes.
All right.
Very
That's
nice.
what I got.
I like it. Sobi?
I've got Jay Shakira, Taku Itu, Austin Felix, Bryant Smith, and Joey Cifuentes.
Bryant Smith or Bryant Schmidt?
Bryant Smith from Roseville, California.
Okay, those are two different people.
Don't call it a comeback.
Hahner, who you got?
I went, playing on Ticonderoga. I went with Chris Johnson for a bucket. I know he has a lot of knowledge down there and the smallmouth. So I'm like, if there's a time for it to happen, it could happen at this one.
All I'm hearing is you didn't pick Jay. That's all I heard. Sorry.
I Snapchatted him today.
He's not on shit.
I hope that burns you.
Yeah, might. Yeah, he's gonna come in with the biggest bag. But bucket B, Brandon Polnick. Bucket C, Austin Felix. D, Seth Fighter. E, Scott Martin.
Ooh, I was thinking
I picked Scotty too hotty.
Dude,
he's got too much good history out there. He's got too much.
Yeah, but you have nothing to lose here, so it's like.
I think Scott's a great pick here, honestly.
Just
like
whatever.
Scott's broken hearts here.
All right. I went bucket A. I went with Cooper Gallant.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yes.
I went there. I hope he finds some big smallmouth. And I went with bucket B. I went with Alex Redwine. He seems very consistent in the north. Been very good. C, just like everyone else, I went Austin Felix. Felix is really good on Champlain. Bucket D, especially with the largemouth plan. I think we're going to get a Seth Fighter first dub on Champlain.
Would love to
I
see
think he's going to do it.
Especially if the largemouth are actually playing and Seth just says, screw
I
it.
think the largemouth are going to play, and Fighter fucking smashes there when the largemouth are playing. So I'm going with him. And bucket, last bucket, I went with Cifuentes, just like everyone else, because there's nobody else to really pick. So I went with him.
Awesome.
Dang, our deciding factors, Bart, will be bucket D. And I would.
And bucket A, Cooper Gallant.
Cooper versus Jay. Talk
Yeah,
about
I
it.
know. I almost
1v1
wanted to
battle.
switch to Jay today, but I was like, I know the other guys are going to pick Jay, and I'm sticking with Coop.
Oh, man.
Jay's hot right now, dude. Jay's hot.
That's an
I know
awesome
he is,
MMA
but
cage
Coop
match.
is Coop,
Jay versus
man.
Coop.
He's good.
He's got the swag. Damn it.
You just got to go with it. I don't know. But for points, for people to know, we are currently sitting at, oh shit, I got to find the points.
Oh boy. Here we go.
We are at, okay, so we got Hahner leading at 14, Pink at 19, Sobi at 23, me at 24.
Yikes.
So
Call it a comeback.
it's tight. It's tight.
Oh,
It's not
shit.
good.
This will be
Not where I
interesting.
want to be.
No, you're in a bad spot, bud. Bad spot.
I am. We'll see if next recording. Well, we got 2 back-to-back elites, so by the next time we're recording, we might know. But
Well,
we will
because
see.
there's only going to be one left, right? Or is that the last one?
That's it. There's
So
this
yeah, we'll
in
know.
St.
We'll
Lawrence.
definitely know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. But what did you guys pick for win and weight at Champlain?
I picked 83 pounds, 4 ounces.
Ooh, 84.4.
I just had 80 flat.
Nice.
Well, I went highest. I went 86.5.
Oh, dang.
I bet that's more accurate.
I went for Slugfest.
Well, we'll see.
Yep.
We shall see.
I will say, me personally, it was me. I was on the front page of Bassmaster.com because I picked the Bassmaster Classic weight correctly down to the ounce in fantasy.
You were?
Yeah, I was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Me personally,
I picked Hahner's weight. Yeah. And they listed me and 2 other people out of like whatever, 20,000 people that picked. So I just like to say 83.4. It'll be 83.
That's crazy that you're doing so bad in this thing.
That's crazy. You just totally sucked after all that the whole time. Oh, wow. So true. Truth hurts so hard.
Sorry, bud.
Oh,
Oh
damn.
my God.
Dang. Well, good pod, boys. Very good pod.
Yeah.
I think we should just leave it at that for this one.
Good conversation.
We'll save. We got a bunch of good fan questions that we'll save for the next one, and we'll burn through a ton of them, and we'll get right in a hurry, I think.
Mhm.
But anything else you guys want to chat about before we go on to the next pod here?
I'm just glad we got another one in.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad we're all in the same
The
spot.
people were asking. They were like, when are you upload next? I was like, I don't know. We're all gone.
Who knows, man? And yeah, we'll try to get a little update from Stolsky too. I know he's kind of in the wind, but I know they've been absolutely smashing fish in
It's
Alaska.
looked
So
very successful up there this
yes,
year.
and they're
Killing
bonking. Yeah, there's blood being shed. So we'll get a little update from him for the next one. But I think we did good here, boys. So
Yep.
thanks for listening to another episode of Pass the Barb. And please, if you made it this far, damn, you owe it to yourself to subscribe to this bad boy. Get on there, rate, subscribe, all social platforms, everything. And thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.